Hi, I'm John DiArmo with the Coquille Valley Sword Group, and today we're talking about Article 9, the perception of the lower, middle, and higher levels of martial arts. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Article 9, the perception of the lower, middle, and higher levels of martial arts. Martial arts that display various sword positions with specific postures and thereby appear strong and fast are to be regarded as lowly. Such martial arts that, while concentrating on the smallest details, bring various techniques in accord with special rhythms and thereby appear magnificent and exceptional, are to be regarded as middling. The martial arts of the higher level look neither strong nor weak, nor angular, nor fast, nor magnificent, nor bad. However, they appear large, straight, and calm. This should be carefully deliberated upon. So, let's go ahead and go through these different sort of tiers of martial arts and talk about what they mean just a little bit more, right? So at the lowest level, right, the kind of like not real great stuff, you've got methods that use special postures. They appear strong and fast. You know, they really just they're flashy, really sort of flashy and shiny. Well, why is this bad, right? Or rather, why should it be considered of a low level? If it looks flashy, then it's easy to see, right? And just as you as the outside observer can watch somebody's work and go, oh my gosh, it's so wow, you know, it really catches your eye. When you're in the fight, it catches your eye too. How does work catch our eye, right? It catches our eye through contrast, and that excessive contrast that's necessary to make something appear sort of cool, right? Spectacular, really easy to notice, like in movie fighting, for instance, is exactly the type of excessive contrast that's going to let your opponent work in those times, in those pauses, in those contrasting breaks in qualitative motion. Work like this often has a real snappy look. Like people are obviously trying to go super fast when they do it, and usually in order to accomplish this, the work is kind of angular, or it can be almost jerky too. So a good example of this kind of lowly level of martial art would be the recently recreated Tenshinryu Hyoho Batojitsu. A lot of videos have been sort of circulating around Facebook and YouTube about it. Watch a video, look at their work, and you'll see what I mean, right? Real flashy, lots of different hand positions, lots of different sword positions, lots of movement that is both, that is sometimes much too excessive, right? Like way more motion than is necessary to effectively and safely get work done. But at other times it's too short. Like the movement happens so briskly that you don't have time to generate that full body power. So at the next level, the sort of the middle level, middling level, we have arts that work on small details and special rhythms, right? So small details, what does this mean? This means exactly what it sounds like. It's just small details. It's like, okay, well, when you throw your punch, is it perfectly vertical? Is it slightly angled? Are you doing like an extra rotation? Is it rotated? Is it rotated evenly? Is it rotated all at the end? Right? This kind of sort of attentiveness to detail and understanding that all of those changes make a difference, right? And then the idea of rhythm. It's whereas the sort of low-level martial arts are unconscious of rhythm, right? They just think, I'm going to do my fancy thing, as if the opponent will just let them, right? In the middle-level martial arts, they acknowledge that, hey, there's this other dude that has the say in a fight, and he's got his own sort of rhythm. And between his rhythm and your rhythm, you guys find this sort of synchronicity. And being able to manipulate that rhythm gives you a great deal of advantage. It just understanding timing and rhythm in fighting is a skill that really cannot be overstated. I mean, because you'll go from situations where the guy can just free hit on you as fast as he can. You understand how to manipulate rhythm, and you'll have the guy hitting, and then having to chase you, and then hitting, and then having to chase you, and then hitting. And you'll break down the amount of attacks that he can get off sort of per minute dramatically. Half, maybe even a third, depending on their skill level, your skill level situation, of course. But it's a big thing. But this is the middle and level. So a good example of this would be a lot of Wing Chun. Now, obviously, when you get a martial art that has as many practitioners as Wing Chun has, you have a wide variety in the scale of good to bad, right? But I think, on average, most Wing Chun practitioners are pretty middling, right? And don't think of that as bad. Like, this is not like the Asian dad, like, oh, why didn't you get an A, right? Middle is fine. Middle is okay, right? It gets the job done, but maybe it falls apart in some places, and maybe it breaks down in others, right? So it's middle, right? The high-level martial arts. Simple, straight, calm, large, right? This is... It's not that it's deceptive per se, but it's easy to be confused by this, because you'd think that what we've done is we've set up a gradient wherein the flashier it is, or rather, the more things that you're doing, the worse it is, to where like the less things you're doing, the better it is. And while that can be an indicator, it is not actually the metric. In other words, there are plenty of people who, they get into a fight or whatever, and they throw one attack, and the other guy just pounds the hell out of them. In the MMA school that I used to train in, we'd call them supermen, right? They're looking for that Superman punch, that A-bomb punch, right? They're just gonna throw these big honkers at you, and then kind of just like, right, if it doesn't work, and that's obviously not good either. The key here is that they appear large and straight and calm, right? What this means is that there is good arts are so in harmony with their opponent that the sort of differentiation between your work as separate from the work of the fight as a whole, or even your opponent's work, starts to be much harder to perceive because you're in rhythm with them, right? And not only are you in rhythm with them, but you control their rhythm at the same time. And so it looks like it looks choreographed, but cooperatively so. So not like a stage fight where you want to sort of like, oh, and I create tension, and oh, I create tension, and make the audience feel things. This is more like, oh, those dudes are on the same team. They're look at them go. They're doing the same thing together. And to accomplish this, it requires a very sophisticated level of observation, of attentiveness to your state and your opponents, and how all of these various sort of facets that go into this communicative exercise that we call murdering one another, how they interplay and how you balance them. But that's a lot more of a mouthful than straight, large, and calm, right? So what would be a good example of work that is like this? Straight, large, calm, really high-level work. And I think that would be really good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu work is like this. You see two guys, or you have just even one guy, he's a black belt or whatever, but he's not just a black belt, he's calm, he's thoughtful, he's analytical, or she, right, of course. When they roll with a dude, it's not like this mad dash. It's not like this desperate scramble where these just like, I gotta get it. But rather, it just seems to be this slow, methodical, nothing special. Like, oh, dude's on the ground. Oh, why'd that other dude tap? It is performed at the level that it is nothing special, right? That it appears to be nothing special, because it is nothing special, and that's the kind of key, right? When you want something to be special, when you try and make it special or make other people acknowledge it as special, you do things that are naturally counterproductive to efficient fighting work, right? And so, like the Tenshin Ryu Hyoho stuff, right? It looks cool, right? It is cool looking work. And if I wanted, like, if I was the director in some movie and I wanted some sword fighting stuff, I would go to those guys and say, hey, help us with our choreography, because it is slick looking work. But that's not what you want. like when it comes down to actually just getting the work done. Like he says, it's something to deliberate upon. So, why do we care, right? Why are we going to spend an entire article, pretty early on, within the first third of these 35 articles, these are the secrets of my style. Why is it going to spend this time to talk about stuff that is not his style at all, doesn't mention his style, doesn't compare his work to this sort of metric that he's laid out? And we've talked about it before, but some people can get the wrong idea about it because they're just not either familiar with the context of these works or how they appear in our school or how they're interpreted by practitioners in our style. A good example of this is the YouTube commentator, Good Karma. Guy puts out really, really excellent videos. It's good with a U-G-U-D, Karma, one word. Really, of all of the YouTubers that cover sort of Koryu topics. I think that he is by far and above one of the best. I mean, it doesn't mean that I agree with him on a lot of stuff, but you're never going to agree with everybody, right? But he put out a video a long while back about Musashi and said, commented that Musashi's criticisms of the schools were likely more about Musashi trying to sell his style than anything else. And this is not very likely, given that the documents, whether they are the Gorin no Sho or the Heiau Sanjugo Kajo, were intended to be destroyed, right? The copy of the Gorin no Sho, he said flat out, hey, when you're done with this, burn it, right? I don't want this getting out, this is going to be my stuff or whatever. And with the Heiau Sanjugo Kajo, it was a gift for his dying friend, right? The Hosokawa. So he doesn't have anything to gain by that, right? It's neither of those instances are going to draw more people into his style, so he can, make gobs and gobs of money. Instead, right, it is more plausible that his intro to the Book of the Wind is sincere, right? And that, as is the habit of our style, we look at other people's work. We're not... Some styles are like, hey man, we're cloistered off, we don't watch what other people do, we don't care what they do, we're going to do our work and focus just on that. And there's definitely something to be said for that ideology and that strategy. But in Hyoho, we want to know what other people are up to. Because if somebody comes along and says, hey, we've been working and we've done this whole way, and then, look, if I capture your elbow, you're pooched, right? So all I have to do is capture your elbow, and I win the fight 99% of the time. We want that information, right? Or we're going to steal that, we're going to incorporate it in, and we're going to really get into the meat of it, right? Because our style is not about perpetuating some noble heritage. It's not about espousing the religious virtues of a specific shrine. It is not about, bringing honor and notoriety to a family or a family line. It's about cutting another dude down, right? That is our entire focus. That is what we care about. And to do that, we need to be able to defend against their squirrely work, to steal the bits that are good, and to use it against them. That's how we evolve as a style, as a method, as a strategy, right? So, the importance of this article is that it is the beginning sort of guide to judging other people's work, to decide, is this something that I need to assimilate, or is it something that I need to be sure that I don't do, right? Because you learn just as much, if you're attentive, watching somebody's inappropriate work that's not suited for what you're trying to do, as you do seeing somebody's work that is just spot on the money. You see somebody do just a really good cut that displaces the enemy's sword and cuts him down. You go, ooh, 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 I want some of that. I'm gonna study that. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get the secret. I'm gonna talk to the guy. I'm gonna come up, get swords with him, and see how we can, how I can greedily sort of devour that and bring it into my method. So that's, and we've talked about this a couple of times now. That's why it's important, at least in our school's method, to look at other styles, to go, is this good? Do we want it? Right? Does it benefit me? What can I learn from it? Right? Pay attention even to trifles, right? So I think that's pretty much it for this week. Actually, I'll go into this a bit. Just because in Hyoho, in Nitenichidu, we look at other styles and we sort of categorize them based on how their work would apply to what our goal is. Don't mistake this to be that we go, oh, this style over here with their flashy, American tournament bow staffs, right, where they're wielding hollow aluminum bows thinner than your pinky, and they're throwing up, doing backflips and stuff, right? Just because that stuff is inappropriate for our work, it doesn't mean that we're looking down our nose at it, right? Because that's like looking down your nose at the rain because it's not the sun, right? It's just because something does something different than what you're driving at, it doesn't mean it's useless, right? You have a hammer for nails, you have a screwdriver for screws. It's about understanding what's appropriate and where to apply it, right? This is important, right? This is not just some like kumbaya, get be in harmony with all other martial arts styles. That's not what it is at all, right? It's just that it's very important to understand what things actually are, what they're meant to be used for, and what grows from that, right? What meaning, what purpose kind of expands, what sort of anyway, yeah. So you're not better than anybody else, right? You might be objectively better at doing a thing in a situation. In the same way, one sword style might be better than another at doing a specific thing in a specific situation. It doesn't mean, it doesn't afford some kind of moral hierarchy, right? It doesn't make you a better human being, right? It doesn't mean your hobby's cooler or whatever, right? So understand that things are different. Understand what those differences mean. But really understand it. Don't just use it as a place to pet your ego or run from your insecurity, right? Anyway, okay, enough of that. As always, if you want to understand this, you have to pick up a sword and go train.